We need to evolve the market, but let's look at how we've already evolved the market. So if you think of this from a property developer's point of view, and on the y-axis, we look at how the industry has moved from let's manage properties, and then we got into green building, they said let's optimize a building, and now they're getting into developing districts. So Siemens and Arup, they're developing eco-districts, so that's the property industry. So they're thinking very differently about what their product is. And then we think about, okay, we can do just a standard thing, or we can customize. If you look at the evolution of the property industry, what we find is the more we customize and the more that we optimize the building or even the location, the more money they're making. So here's a recent study of how the market has responded to advanced green building in the United States. A 10% greater return on investment in those buildings. Why? Their operating costs are lower and because they perform better. So there's a higher demand for those buildings than for the standard building. And all we're talking about here is saying, what if we were to go to the next generation of this kind of building? Let's build resilience into the asset, right? It has its own water supply. It has its own energy supply. Let's build productivity in it. Actually, we're going to sell part of that energy. We've got a new revenue stream in a building in this district. Do you think the market's going to respond to that? The market is absolutely going to respond to that. We need to work with our developer communities to help them bring new products to the market. And oftentimes, we just need to get out of their way. We need to get the rubber stamp mentality of municipal planning and development control out of their way, get into a design mode with them to bring to market this kind of ecological building. So I think it's doable. And finally, I think it's doable because of who's in the room. And I'm going to speak to that a little bit here. So for me, it's always a lovely reunion to come to these World Congresses because I get to spend time with people who have been part of creating this whole wave of practice of development of the domain of urban sustainability. And after a while, we start looking like middle-aged people who are kind of comfortable and have done well. And we started as activists, and now we're deputy mayors, or Alfredo Circus is there, he's a congressman in the Brazilian Congress. We've kind of become mainstream. But we have to remember that we're weird, that we are weird, right? That we started our careers with audacity, we got to where we got to with audacity, and all we need to do is speak to that audacity again. I'm going to talk about my friend Hans one more time. So here's Hans, the green anti-nuclear power activist living on a commune outside of Hanover in the 1970s. And what does this guy do, this ecological engineer? He innovates a large-scale biogas generation facility. Right? Here's Hans, the deputy mayor of Hanover, right? In the trenches building this thing. That's who we are. We are builders. I know many of you come from this kind of hands-on, we're going to do it hell or high water kind of approach. Alfredo Circus, who sadly is not here with us because he's doing something equally audacious in Rio, the handsome congressman who flies back and forth to Brazil all the time. Alfredo fought for democracy in this country, right? He was a guerrilla in Brazil. He was exiled from this country. I know others of you here fought for freedom in your country, for democracy in your country. We are audacious people, right? We need to liberate and call upon that audacity one more time. And I think it's all over here, right? We might underestimate our cities, but please don't underestimate yourselves. And what you can do if you give yourself license to take on what's inevitable. The inevitable challenge that we now need to finish what city building is all about. We are building cities, I argue, not so that we can extract from nature. We are building cities because we need a habitat. We need an ecology that supports an incredible species. It's more incredible than the coral mollusk, and it's more incredible than the beavers. And if the coral mollusks and the beavers can be smart enough to build themselves a habitat that sustains their communities, we better damn well be smart enough, smarter than them, to build an ecosystem for ourselves. Thank you very much. I look forward to talking to you.